Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And, you know, this is, I think, the second, maybe third week in a row when I've not had any questions for the Ask Me Anything. And that's fine. You know, you don't have to send in questions, but, you know, generally an Ask Me Anything works better when people ask me things. Otherwise, I just have to, you know, like come up with stuff and then just ramble and talk to myself. Although, yeah, I know I'm not. Well, I kind of am talking to myself because there's nobody else in the room with me as I record this, but I'm talking to you. Hopefully, you're actually listening. I know there are downloads and there are listens because I look at the statistics, but, you know, maybe it's just something that you keep on in the background as background noise. I don't really know. But anyway, I totally forgot where I was going with that. Oh, right. Questions. You can send those to me. And if you don't want people to know who you are sending questions to me, that's fine. You don't even have to tell me who you are. Go to ama.fppradio.com and then just put in something that resembles a name, something that resembles an email address, and then your question. And then I will answer the questions on Fridays. ama.fppradio.com. So again, since there are no questions, I happened to stumble upon something, partly because I was looking for such a thing. Now, I'm going to sort of, before getting into the article, try to explain something, maybe. And again, as I've said numerous times in the past, doing this show is kind of like therapy for Darryl. And if you're new to the show and somehow you missed the first couple of minutes of the show, I'm Darryl. Yet sometimes I refer to myself in the third person because it's just something Darryl does occasionally. But lately, and I don't know how much of it has to do with, you know, sort of taking time off from exercise in January and February, and how much of it had to do with, you know, discovering some kind of ankle thing at the beginning of the month. But I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm in a funk, but I'm kind of, you know, like feeling that I'm mentally in a slump of some sort. And then also, you know, like my schedule's kind of been thrown off a little bit because I'm house sitting for somebody, and then I do lobbying and the legislature's in session, and just like my routine has kind of been thrown out of whack. And then we had the time change recently, and that always messes with me. So I'm just kind of like in a place that I don't really know how to describe, other than to say, like, it's not necessarily a funk, but it's kind of a slump. And hopefully that makes sense if you've ever been in that kind of place mentally. So, the article that I want to jump into is about motivation. And yeah, I was searching for, you know, like, hey, help me kind of get motivated. It's not that I'm not motivated, but it's that just I don't really know how to describe it. And yeah, I realize this makes for horrible radio when I can't describe what I'm trying to say. But anyway, let's jump into the article from the website zenhabits.net. And yes, as always, the link will be in the show notes where you can read it at your leisure. Even the most motivated of us, you, me, Tony Robbins, can feel unmotivated at times. In fact, sometimes we get into such a slump that even thinking about making positive changes seems too difficult. Now, let me pause here to say that it's not that I'm not motivated to do things. I am, but, just kind of like circumstance has prevented me from doing some of the things that I wanted to do. Like I wanted to go for longer runs recently, but, a ankle feeling kind of weird, and then a tight hamstring has sort of, limited how far I can run. And yeah, I've got a half marathon coming up in about 7 weeks or so. Yeah, I really need to start training, and I'm going to really, start doing that really strong and actually follow a plan this time to train for that half marathon coming up, which will be the first of 7 for me for the year. So December of this year, I should, if everything goes as planned, I should be finishing my 10th half marathon. And at the end of this year, I will also have 2 full marathons under my belt. So again, it's not that I'm not motivated, it's that, actually taking the actions. And that, I think it's because, those circumstances have prevented me from taking certain actions that is kind of messing with my head a little bit. But continuing on. But it's not hopeless. With small steps, baby ones, in fact, you can get started down the road to positive change. The author says, yes, I know it seems impossible at times, but you don't feel like doing anything. The author says, I've been there, and in fact, I still feel that way from time to time. You're not alone, but I've learned a few ways to break out of a slump, and we'll take a look at those today. The author here says the post was inspired by reader Roy C. Carlson, who asked the question. I was wondering if you could do a piece on why it can be hard for someone to change direction and start taking control of their life. I've had to say I'm in this boat, and advice on getting out of my slump would be great. So we'll talk about it. Stay tuned.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Doublespeak Dictionary by Leslie Starr O'Hara satirizes the marked difference between the ideal of we the people and the reality of we the elite, while offering an insightful glimpse into the clockworks of the totalitarian mind. Ever irreverent but never irrelevant, the Doublespeak Dictionary serves as a subversive and humorous but timely reminder that the emperor has no clothes. The Doublespeak Dictionary is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Maybe, just maybe, you're kind of in a slump because your crypto portfolio has decreased in value a little bit, and maybe you want to, I don't know, buy some stuff before the value drops a little bit more, or maybe you're one of those people that says, no, you should never, ever, ever use your cryptocurrency, not ever, never, never. Well, if you're one of those people that never plans to ever spend your cryptocurrency as a currency, then I'm not talking to you for about the next 15 seconds. But if you want to actually buy things with cryptocurrency, Wouldn't it be great if there was a website where you could actually search for things that you could buy with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies? You're in luck. There is one. It's called Spend-A-Bit. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy with your Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin accepting merchant, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.fppradio.com. Now let's jump back into the article here from zenhabits.net. And it's about finding motivation and actually taking action upon that motivation when you're in a slump. The author says, when I fall out of exercise due to illness or injury or disruption from things I'm doing in my life, it's hard to get started again. I don't even feel like thinking about it at times, but I've always found a way to break out of the slump, and here are some of the things I've learned that have helped. Number 1 on the list, and again, this is a list of 16 things. Have one goal. Whenever you're in a slump, the author says, I've discovered that it's often because I have too much going on in my life. I'm trying to do too many things, and it saps my energy and my motivation. It's probably the most common mistake that people make. They try to take on too many things, try to accomplish too many goals at one time. You cannot maintain energy and focus, the two most important things in accomplishing a goal, if you're trying to do 2 or more goals at once. It's just not possible. The author says, I've tried it many times, and I will say that, yeah, I think I'm definitely there to where it's one of those things of, oh, wow, I've got way too many things to do. I need to do this and this and this other thing. So, yeah, I think I'll watch American Ninja Warrior. Or maybe you watch, I don't know what you watch. I really don't even know what popular TV shows are on right now. I know that The Walking Dead is a thing, but I don't know when it's on. Game of Thrones isn't coming back for quite some time. Vikings, I really like that show, but again, I don't remember when it's on. Better Call Saul comes out sometime in the next couple of months, maybe, but you know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, I got a lot of stuff, so I'm just going to go take a nap because I don't know where to start. Having too many goals. It's not that the goals, the goal that you have seems like something you can't accomplish. It's having too many of them. And I know I've talked about how to accomplish a goal of, I need to clean the kitchen. You start do one thing, then another, but when you have too many goals, then yeah, it can seem overwhelming. The author says you have to choose just one for now and focus on it completely. I know it's hard. Still, I speak from experience. You can always do your other goals when you've accomplished your one goal. Number 2, find inspiration. And this is really what I was looking for when I stumbled across this article. Inspiration, the author says, for me, comes from others who have achieved what I want to achieve or who are currently doing it. I read other blogs, books, magazines, etc. I Google my goal and read success stories. Zen Habits is just one place for inspiration, not only from me, but from many readers who have achieved amazing things. Number 3, get excited. Yeah, this sounds obvious, but most people don't think about it much. If you want to break out of a slump, get yourself excited about your goal. But how can you do that when you don't even feel motivated? It starts with inspiration from others. See above, or rather rewind and listen to point number 2. But you have to take that excitement and build upon it. The author says, for me, I've learned that by talking to my wife and others and reading as much as possible and visualizing what it would be like to be successful, I get excited about the goal. Once I've done that, it's just a matter of carrying that energy forward and keeping it going. Number 4, build anticipation. This sounds hard, and many people will skip this tip, but it really works. The author says it helped me quit smoking after many failed attempts. If you find inspiration and want to do a goal, don't start right away. Many of us will get excited and want to start today. That's a mistake. Set a date in the future, maybe a week or 2 or even a month, and make that your start date. Mark it on the calendar. Get excited about that date. Make it the most important date in your life. In the meantime, start writing out a plan and do some of the steps below, because by delaying your start, you're building anticipation and increasing your focus and energy for your goal. And, without even knowing of these 16 steps here, specifically number 4, this is what I did just over 3 years ago, when I wound up deciding that, I'm going to wind up losing a bunch of weight and getting back in shape. Is I didn't start a diet the day I stepped on a scale at 317 pounds. I decided I'm going to start this in about 3.5 weeks on March 20th, 2015. So I built some anticipation for it, and actually I had wound up dropping about 8 pounds from the end of February until the start of, I don't want to say diet, start of transformation. And I've put on some weight in the last 2 months, and that might be part of why I'm in a slump. Stay tuned. There's more.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
Hey, this is Adam from the ANCAP Barbershop. You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And we'll get back to the article here in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about Zencash. Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed secure node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than 6 times. And the Zencash wallet is available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices, and available in multiple languages. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Jumping back into the article here of 16 ways to get motivated if you're in a slump. And again, we're only less than a third of the way through, so I will speed through some of them. Number 5, post your goal. Print it out in big words. Make your goal just a few words long, like a mantra. Exercise 15 minutes daily. And post it up on your wall or refrigerator. Post it at home and at work. Put it in your computer desktop. or rather on your computer desktop. You want to have big reminders about your goal to keep you focused and keep your excitement going. A picture of your goal, like a model with sexy abs, for example, also helps. Now, if I were to, speaking of abs here, if I were to post a picture of what I want Darryl, and yes, I'm Darryl, what I want Darryl to wind up looking like, I would basically put my face on Finn Balor's body. And if you don't know who Finn Balor is, I encourage you to do a Google search. Yeah, that dude's got, like, abs for days. Continuing on, commit publicly. None of us like to look bad in front of others. We go the extra mile to do something we've said publicly. For example, the author says, when I wanted to run my first marathon, I started writing a column about it in my local daily newspaper. The entire island of Guam knew about my goal. I could not back down, and even though my motivation came and went, I stuck with it and completed it. And, you know, it's interesting that he's writing about when he ran his first marathon. I recently ran my first. Well, I say recently, it was little over 3.5 months ago, back in December. I'm now fundraising, actually, for the New York City Marathon, where I'm on Team Innocence Project. I need to raise $3,500 by November 1st. And, you know, I actually thought that the fundraising would be a little easier than it is. And I'm doing quite well so far, having brought in a little over a fifth of the money in less than a month. So, you know, pretty good. I would like to be done sooner rather than later. That way I'm not having to think, all right, who can I wind up sending emails to? How often should you wind up emailing people? Et cetera, et cetera. Because I've heard some of the people talk about, fundraising is basically a full-time job. And I know that there are people that is their full-time job is fundraising. And, but speaking of, if you want to donate to Team Innocence Project, you can go to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com. And yes, I will post that link in the show notes. And right now, I've got some matching funds that I've secured, which is going to help tremendously. So you can actually wind up doubling your dollars, dollar for dollar, up to the next, I think right now it's $1,400. So I secured a total of $1,500 in matching, already got one $100 donation. So the next $1,400 wind up getting matched. So, you know, I'm not expecting anybody to wind up giving a $1,400 contribution, but anything that you give up to that will be matched dollar for dollar. Jumping back into the article, and again, the link will be in the show notes, 16 ways to get motivated when you're in a slump. So number 6 was commit publicly. Number 7, think about it daily. Number 8, and this is probably, and yes, I'm way behind as far as going through these, which is why I'm speeding through. Number 8, probably the hardest for a lot of people, is get support. It's hard to accomplish things alone. The author says, when I decided to run my marathon, I had the help of friends and family, and I had a great running community on Guam who encouraged me at 5K races and did long runs with me. When I decided to quit smoking, I joined an online forum that helped tremendously. And, of course, my wife helped along the way. Continuing on, he says, I couldn't have done these goals without her or without the others who supported me. Find a support network, either in the real world or online or both. Number 9, realize that there's an ebb and a flow. Number 10 is the most important and should be number 1 here. Stick with it. Whatever you do, don't give up. I was watching the replay of WWE Raw yesterday, and Daniel Bryan who just got cleared to actually enter the ring again, said, if you fight for your dreams will fight for you. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
This is Darryl W. Perry, host of Free Talk Live. This November, I'll be running in the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, and I've accepted a spot on Team Innocence Project because I'm a passionate supporter of their work. Since 1989, 353 people in the United States have been exonerated by DNA testing, including 38 who pled guilty to crimes they did not commit, and 20 of whom served time on death row. The Innocence Project provided direct representation or critical assistance in 180 of these cases. With your help, the Innocence Project can help even more people who have been wrongly convicted. As part of Team Innocence Project, I am raising awareness about wrongful convictions and raising funds to help free the innocent. I've already paid the race registration fees. However, to secure my spot on Team Innocence Project in the New York City Marathon, I need to raise $3,500 by November 1st. You can support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry by going to run.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Here in the closing moments, going over a list of 16 ways to get motivated and stay motivated and actually wind up following through on the motivation, because it's, I'm not going to say it's easy to get motivated, but it's easier to get motivated and then not do anything. Which then begs the question, is that really motivation or is that just excitement about something? But I digress and continue. Speeding through the last 6 items here. Start small, really small. If you're having a hard time getting started, it may be because you're thinking too big. If you want to exercise, for example, you may be thinking you have to do an intense workout 5 days a week. No, start small. Baby steps. Just do 2 minutes. The author says, I know it sounds wimpy, but it works. Commit to 2 minutes of exercise for 1 week. You may want to do more, but just stick to 2 minutes. It's easy. You can't fail. Do it at the same time every day. Some crunches, push-ups, jog in place, etc. Just 2 minutes, and then increase to 5, and then 15, and then 20, etc. Number 12, build on small successes, which he touched on earlier. And again, the link will be in the show notes. You can read it at your leisure. Number 13, he says, read about it daily, which actually kind of is a repeat of number 7, which is think about it daily. Number 14, call for help when your motivation fails, which ties in with number 8 of get support. Number 14, nope, just read number 14. Number 15, think about the benefits, not the difficulties. Think about the benefits, not the difficulties. And number 16, squash negative thoughts and replace them with positives. Along those lines, the author says it's important to start monitoring your thoughts, recognizing negative self-talk, which is really what's causing your slump. Just spend a few days becoming aware of your negative thoughts. Then after a few days, try to squash those negative thoughts like a bug, and then replace them with a corresponding positive thought. Squash the thought of, this is too hard, and replace it with, I can do this. If this wimp Leo can do it, so can I. The author says, I know it sounds corny, but it works. Really, it works. Again, the link will be in the show notes. You can read it at your leisure. And don't forget, every Friday, I answer your questions. And I don't need to know your name. You can fill the form out anonymously if you want. ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.